Hey everyone, welcome back. Today I wanted to put a spotlight on Primeape in the Go Battle League. This pick has been a Pokemon ever since the community day that has been fantastic in the Go Battle League. Rage Fist, coverage, and boosting potential is just kind of crazy, especially with Karate Chop in close combat. It is a very strong Pokemon. And one thing I do want to make clear is the blog post that was releasing the information for next season's update has been updated. The Rage Fist nerf has been removed, so potentially we're not going to see a nerf on this move going into next season. So unfortunately, that video I made was a little bit outdated. They updated it like right after I uploaded it, so I guess we're not going to see a Rage Fist nerf potentially. I guess we'll see at this point. But if you want to see my gameplay live, I stream my battles basically every day at twitch.tv/ItsAXN, starting 5:30 Pacific, 8:30 Eastern. I'd love to see you there. Without further ado, though, let's get into the battles and see what Primeape can do. All right, jumping into game number one here, Shadow Quagsire up against a Shadow Abomasnow. That is a terrible lead to see. We're going to swap in our Primeape instantly here, try to do whatever we can. In comes a Shadow Feraligatr to respond to us. I'm going straight for the close combat here. You might be like, that's a crazy play. Why would you go for the close combat immediately? You're switch blocked. It's because they're going to expect the Rage Fist. I expected the no shield there, which is exactly what happens. We one-shot the Gator before they can get any damage off, and now in comes a Quagsire to try to farm us down. I can get my shield back. I haven't even actually shielded yet. What am I even talking about? I can get a shield advantage here with our Primeape switch and shield advantage with our Primeape. This is fantastic, but Abomasnow is going to be very tricky still in the backline. I do have a lot of super effective charge moves against it, but they have a lot of super effective damage against us with Weather Ball and with Energy Ball, depending on who they want to throw it against. In comes that Abomasnow, they swap it back in. I'm going to go for the bait. If I land this bait, I think I'm going to be able to win this game, which we are able to get the proper bait here against the Abomasnow, and now we're going to try to call the proper move. If this is a Weather Ball, they can likely get both of our shields. That Quagsire could still put in a lot of effort against us if they get our shields down with a Stone Edge against our Moltres. Luckily, we called the Energy Ball properly, land the Stone Edge against the Shadow Abomasnow, and now a game that honestly should have no right for us to win. It's looking fantastic for us right now, right? We can no-shield this move, land the Aqua Tail, and Sucker Punch down the Shadow Quagsire. That is a crazy team. I don't know how we just won this one. One of the worst leads we could see, but Primeape, as a safe swap, was able to put in so much work, getting not only switch advantage against that Shadow Feraligatr, but shield advantage against the Shadow Quagsire. GG's to them. Next matchup in the lead, we're going to see a Superior, once again a Grass-type Pokemon. I do not want to see this in the slightest, but we can swap in our Primeape, try to go for these Rage Fists, boost our attack, and get as much chip damage against the Superior as we can. Another key thing here is by throwing this move, we are desyncing the switch clock. I've swapped, they have not yet, and they're throwing a move here before they're going to swap out themselves. So this means that the switch clocks are going to be incredibly desynced this game. Maybe I can play around that, or maybe they're just going to stay in this matchup from the looks of it. They must not have a great answer to us right now, so it is kind of sad to let our Primeape go, but they likely can win this matchup if they want to play it out, or if they let that one go. I can double shield, invest only in Primeape right now. Hopefully it's going to be enough to win us this game. In the backline, we're going to see a Shadow Drapion come in. I'm going to throw this Rage Fist right before they get to an Aqua Tail. I want to be able to swap out, come in Shadow Quagsire, and get some use out of it here. Unfortunately, Quagsire is not a Mud Slapper. It's using Mud Shot rather than Mud Slap, which means that obviously we're not doing as much fast move pressure, but we do paste to these charge moves very quickly. We CMP on this next attack. Crunch does get the defense drop. It puts us pretty low, and we are going to be in range where Aqua Tail could potentially knock us out now from the Shadow Drapion, but they let that move through, which is kind of good, but also kind of bad depending on what they want to do here. They're going to throw the Aqua Tail, but they undercharge it. That's a fantastic undercharge. Now they're going to be able to get a farm down against us. I was hoping we'd get a farm down against them, but fortunately for me, their final Pokemon is a Morpeko. But that said, this Pokemon normally runs Psychic Fangs. It has Aura Wheel. This is going to be incredibly hard to win. We end up seeing that they try to catch a move, but now I think I see a win condition. It might be an Electric-type Pokemon, but you have to remember, every time they throw a charge move, they're going to be swapping forms here. It's going to go from Electric to Dark-type form right now, which means we come in with our Moltres. We can absorb the move here. We're not going to get one-shot by an Aura Wheel, and we can go for the Brave Bird. Our opponent realizes the situation that they're in. Somehow Moltres able to take out the Electric-type Pokemon there. GG's to our opponent. Next matchup, a much better lead this game, the Shadow Cantonian Marowak, and they safe swap to a Dewgong. That is not a safe swap when I have a Primeape on my team. I'm going to bring it in here. We get a nice sneak because they want to throw their move as soon as they can, and now I know my win condition this game isn't necessarily switch advantage, right? I have my Moltres and my Quagsire that are both pretty good against that Marowak. What I want to do instead is either play for shield advantage or at the very least get switch advantage and have a close combat ready to go against the backline. What is going to come in to try to farm us down here? Either way, I'm going to go for a blind close combat. It should do a lot of damage against anything anything except for that. I should have gone for Rage Fist here. That is a Drifblim, probably one of the only Pokemon in the game that I probably should have gone for the other move. I was just kind of spamming out the other attack, but I mean, we're still in a good spot, right? We have our Moltres up against the Shadow Drifblim. Yeah, they're just going to top left there. That was a huge core breaker for their team, and now I guess we were able to take that matchup. Next game up against a Licky in the lead. This Pokemon is always very uncomfortable to face, especially as a water and ground type Pokemon. They could potentially go for a Solar Beam against us. If they build up 7 rollouts, then I have to respect it. If they don't do that, though, then I know they're not going to throw that move. It looks like they throw after 5. That could be an Earthquake, a Shadow Ball, potentially a Body Slam bait as well. It's going to be an Earthquake. Okay, so now I know I can overfarm here, but this is tricky. Our team is a little bit weak to Azumarill here, especially in the back line, right? And once our Quagsire has been chipped down as much as it has right now, we're going to be in a spot where we kind of have to use one of our weaknesses to Azumarill to take it out. But this is where Primeape shines. We're able to come in with it, spam out these Rage Fists, start boosting up our attack stat. Even if we have to double shield against this Azumarill, normally it's going to be worth it because we're going to come out of this with a lot of attack boosts, maybe even a bit of energy to throw against whatever's going to try to come in to farm us down. We are maybe going to be able to get to another move here. Looks like we will actually on CMP, which is fantastic. As long as this is enough to knock out, we're going to be in a great position, especially if it gets let through, and it does. We're at +2 right now. What's going to come in to farm us down? It is going to be a Drifblim. This Pokemon does not want anything to do with our Rage Fists. I think at this point I can actually draw both shields from this Drifblim if they let us, if they don't throw any energy to knock us out right now, which they are going for the farm down here. Now that we get the second shield, I'm pretty sure Moltres should be able to close out this game, but that Licky is still around. I don't want to switch lock my Moltres into it, so I'm going to let our Annihilape, or Primeape rather, go and get farmed down by this Drifblim. It's going to be a little bit awkward that they have so much energy, but I can survive one Icy Wind. I'll shield up the next one, and if I ever see that Licky come in, I know for a fact my Quagsire can get to an Aqua Tail against it. They threw all of their energy before swapping out, so Quagsire should be able to reach an Aqua Tail, knock them out. So if we ever see Licky come in, we're going to swap. And if they don't bring Licky in, we can actually just end up going for the Ancient Power, knocking out this Drifblim, not even having to worry about it with our Shadow Quagsire. We should be in a pretty good spot to win this game. We are going to just instantly swap there, go for the Aqua Tail. It's going to be on alignment, so I give them a rollout sneak, but throwing on bad timing does not matter if the opponent gets knocked out, which they are going to be knocked out here with that Aqua Tail. GG's to them. Next matchup, we're going to see a Shadow Quagsire in the lead up against a Shadow Alolan Sandslash. This is a good lead, but I'd rather have my Primeape here against it. Fortunately for me, our opponent does swap out. Unfortunately for me, though, it's into a Goodra. I don't have a great answer to this Pokemon. I'm going to take the chip damage here, go for the Stone Edge to get a guaranteed shield, because as I was saying, I don't really care about switch advantage. I want to get shields down, and I want to get my Primeape to be in a proper position to sweep later on this game. I know they have Thunder Punch, but Galarian Moltres is kind of bulky. I'm able to survive it. The Thunder Punch buff has not quite yet happened. Even if it had, I don't think it knocks us out here. Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't knock us out before we could reach a move anyway, but I'm going to go for the Ancient Power to try our very best to knock out this Goodra. I could have gone for the Brave Bird, but I'm close to another move here. Maybe I can get to that next attack. No, not quite. But they end up double shielding their Goodra, which is crazy to me. I'm really surprised they're doing that. But this is an awesome opportunity right now. Come in Primeape, get the one shield farm down against this Goodra, and see what they have in the back. Well, that's going to be a little awkward. That is an Azumarill in the back line, which is a Pokemon that obviously has a lot of play into Primeape. They can survive 3 Rage Fists, but can they survive 4? I'm going to be able to ramp up so much here with that energy lead that I had against that Goodra going into this matchup here. We should be in a spot where potentially Primeape can still sweep this game. Rage Fist number 2, putting them below half health. I'm almost at my next Rage Fist. In fact, I already have it. I'm going to throw this on proper timing after one more Karate Chop and try to ramp up as much as possible here. I know they're not at their move yet. They're actually 2 bubbles away. I'm 2 Karate Chops away from my next charge move. So as long as I throw it in the middle of the bubble, I know they cannot catch. That Alolan Sandslash does not want to come into a +4 Primeape. I could farm down either Pokemon that comes in right now. Primeape is in a prime spot to sweep. Our opponent realizes that and they top left. GG's to them. All right, next matchup. Well, okay, this is not going to be great. That's actually a triple core breaker for our team. That's a team breaker. That's not just a core breaker. That's a team breaker. I'm going to try our best with our Primeape here to ramp up with Rage Fist, potentially make something happen, but you can tell these Fairy Winds are just doing so much damage to us right now. This is not looking great. I have to shield up. It's going to be a Seed Bomb. I know they're never going to Moonblast us here, because at this point, a Seed Bomb would basically be enough. Primeape's pretty squishy, but I probably will get a shield back with this Rage Fist, but I don't think that I'm going to be able to go and fast move them down before they could fast move me down here, especially in the more extended scenarios, so this is looking very uncomfortable for us right now. But with that said, we are putting in a lot more work than you might expect for a Fighting-type Pokemon into a Fairy Wind user right now. Primeape is trying its best to take out one of the hardest Pokemon for our team. We take it out, but in comes like probably the second worst Pokemon that we could possibly see. The Shadow Poliwrath. Okay, yeah, we're not beating that one. GG's to them. Next game, we are going to see the Shadow Quagsire into the Shadow Feraligatr. Terrible lead, but we're going to do what we always do in a bad spot. We safe swap our Primeape, and now we're going to throw a Rage Fist before they can reach a Hydro Cannon. I know they're probably going to no-shield this, but by no-shielding this move, they're going to be in fast move farm down range, or potentially just an Aqua Tail range for our Quagsire later on. So now that the Shadow Gator has been chipped down, I'm not as worried about it if I happen to get my Quagsire into it later on. They end up swapping into a Superior right now, which is kind of good for me, right? I'm assuming that if they come in Superior in this matchup, then my Quagsire probably is going to have more play in the backline. They shield the close combat. I tried to get a little cheeky there and go instantly for the nuke move, but now I'm just going to let our Primeape go, come in Moltres, and invest in our Shadow Quagsire to potentially win us this game. Obviously, Superior only has resisted moves unless I want to throw Aerial Ace, but Aerial Ace actually does less raw damage than Frenzy Plant does, so normally you're going to see them throw Frenzy Plants here. That's resisted, but it puts us almost at half health already. I don't want to take another one. I'm going to CMP here on this next attack. Brave Bird will end up landing or drawing the last shield. We'll see what our opponent wants to do. They do just let it go, and now I'm going to probably bring in Quagsire depending on what comes in here. It's going to be an Alolan Sandslash, a non-Shadow Alolan Sandslash though, which is actually a little bit uncomfortable. I think I'm going to have to go for Stone Edge if I want to knock them out here anytime soon. They go straight for Ice Punch. They're going to try to get 3 Ice Punches off against me. I wait a turn to make sure they don't catch this Stone Edge on that Feraligatr. That'd probably be the worst case scenario at this point, but we are going to save our shield to the last second. If they're going to throw a charge move, I have to shield it now, but I always need to have a little bit of energy just in case that Feraligatr comes in so I can throw energy against them and knock them out. They are going to try to overfarm here. They tried to catch a move on their Gator, but I am at back-to-back Aqua Tails, and I see a way to win this game. I have the Aqua Tail loaded right now. I could throw it, but instead, I'm going to force him to throw energy against our Moltres. We might be a Flying-type Pokemon, but those Sucker Punches would add up so much at this point, and I think, at this point, enough fast food pressure against them that I have put them into Aqua Tail range. We get 2 more Mudshots, we throw the Aqua Tail, and I'm pretty sure at this point, this will be enough to knock out this Steel-type Pokemon. Shadow Quagsire able to overcome an absolutely terrible matchup. GG's to our opponent. Alright, next matchup, Shadow Quagsire up against a Malamar, very neutral lead, but honestly, I kind of like this matchup as Quagsire just because of how much damage I'm taking from these Psywaves. You might expect Psywave to do a lot of fast food pressure here, but Quagsire, it's honestly not taking that much damage overall, and I'm able to outpace them to these charge moves. I can get to 2 Aqua Tails before they can reach even 2 superpowers if that's what they go for. What are they going to throw against us? If it's foul play, it's going to take them even longer to get to charge moves. Unfortunately for me, they catch a move. Was that an Amoonguss that I just saw them catch on? That's crazy. That's actually really bad for us. I would have rather had that Aqua Tail for a Pokemon that didn't resist our damage. That's not only an Amoonguss, that's a Shadow Amoonguss. That's even crazier. This is so bad for us right now because a Sludge Bomb is going to do a lot of damage. I can't really shield it because they've been so weak to Moltres already, though. I don't think that Moltres is going to be good in the backline. I have to save shields for my Primeape. That's generally how this team has to work, which isn't great because it's a kind of a triple squishy team, right? Quagsire and Moltres are pretty squishy, so saving shields for Primeape kind of is sometimes hard to do, but we're making it work right now. They come in with their final Pokemon, a Shadow Magnus, a very spicy team from this trainer. I'm going to come in Primeape, and I'm going to try our best to reach enough charge moves against that Malamar to take them out. I'm hoping no Mirror Shot debuff happens right now. If they do debuff us, which they actually do end up going and getting that first debuff, it's only a 30% chance when it does come through. That means now there's no way I can fast move down this Malamar. Even after boosting my attack stat, I'm likely going to have to get to 3 Rage Fists, and I don't know if Primeape is bulky enough to be able to get to another one after this. It's going to come down to the wire. Primeape, can you do it? I know you're quick. Are you quick enough? Just barely reach it at the end of our HP. Now we are at +2 on our attack stat. There's a chance we can Karate Chop down this Magnezone and take the win that way. GG's to them. Very close matchup. Alright, next game, Shadow Quagsire up against a Bastiodon, a Pokemon I don't really like to see on a lot of teams, but on this team specifically, it's actually a Pokemon I'm not that scared of. I don't need switch advantage this game, right? I have 2 answers to that Bastiodon. I'm just going to invest in the fact that once this Annihilape is gone, I hopefully will have more play with our backline. We are also in an awkward spot where we don't actually have a great Annihilape answer on this entire team. I'm going to no-shield. I know it's likely going to be a close combat here, but I kind of have to just let that move through at this point. Wait down my switch clock to make sure that I can swap out if they happen to have like a grass type. If it is like Bastiodon Shadow Victory Bell, I want to be able to swap out as soon as possible. I'm going to no-shield this. I know that's just a Rage Fist. I can Mudshot them all the way down, and at this point, I'm really just investing in my Primeape to win us this game. In the backline, it is going to be a grass type, but that's a superior, a Pokemon that's going to be a little bit more manageable for a Primeape, but with the energy lead that they have, it is going to be a little bit scary. I get tripped damage with that Aqua Tail, and even if we can get a Rage Fist off, maybe there's a chance we can go for the Karate Chop down. If we land this move, oh, we don't land the move. That's actually a little bit surprising to me that they shield up the first Rage Fist. That first one is going to do the least amount of damage, but obviously they have a Bastiodon in the back. They need to start shielding something at some point. I think, though, we're going to pace on even energy here. They are up a couple of Vine Whips, but because of how spammy Rage Fist is, we're going to pace evenly to that third charge attack. We can likely CMP them, and if they make a catch, which they are likely to do, we are using a Primeape. We can overfarm against that Bastiodon, have back-to-back moves to knock out not only that Bastiodon, which I guess it does actually catch our move right now, but we can knock this out with a close combat, but we can even get a close combat loaded for that superior later on, just with how quick we are with our karate chops and our close combats. In comes that final move. Unfortunately, not a karate chop down, but we can go for the close combat. Just make sure this Bastiodon goes away. We have another close combat ready for when that superior comes back in, and they realize at that point, not much they can do against a boosted Primeape. GG's to them. Alright, a bit of an awkward Pokemon. Once again, this Pokemon obviously is very strong against our backline. Shadow Quagsire is a little bit spammy. We're doing a decent amount of damage with our Mudshot damage at this point, and going for these Aqua Tails that do pace pretty quickly are going to be helpful against this Wigglytuff, but it will be a little awkward if they start debuffing our attack stat. They throw on alignment here, which means that they want to get a debuff off probably as soon as they can, but they don't even debuff. They actually just go for a Swift there, which is kind of interesting at that point. I guess they just want to have a little bit more energy for the backline. I'm going to try to go for these Aqua Tails. Aqua Tail number 1, or I guess number 2 at that point, does end up landing, and I guess we just took out the Wigglytuff. That's fantastic. That's a very awkward Pokemon for our backline, and now we have switch advantage against a Drifblim that comes in to farm us down. Luckily, it was not a Shadow, which means they don't knock us out before we reach the Stone Edge, and they will get a bit of energy, but we align our Moltres against this, and we should be in a pretty good spot, unless they have like a really bad Pokemon for our Primeape later on. They throw energy, so either they're really weak to Moltres, or they just realize getting a debuff and a lot of damage against us could be critical to win this game. They end up staying in, though, so I'm thinking at this point Moltres probably could be good in the backline, but I know I can't go down shield. Primeape with 0 shields is kind of a useless Pokemon. We land the Ancient Power, but after a debuff, it does almost nothing to them. I will have to let this move go. Unfortunately, Moltres will go down, and this is a little bit of an awkward Karate Chop downrange, but the backline is revealed. It's a Gastrodan. Who would have thought Gastrodan plus Wigglytuff? That's a crazy duo. Very spicy stuff by our opposing trainer here. Very fast move-oriented team from what I can tell, but Primeape is going to try its best, go for these close combats. We end up landing the move, and they throw on bad timing, meaning they don't get that Mud Slap off. If I can Karate Chop this down before they can get a Mud Slap off, there's a chance I can get a double Rage Fist against this Drifblim, which it looks like I can. One Rage Fist comes through here. Not only do I think I can get a Rage Fist, I think at this point, it's a Charm user, a Mud Slap user as well. I might as well go for the close combat BM here against this trainer. Yeah, we're going to land it, and this should knock out the balloon. I threw a close combat accidentally against the balloon earlier in this video. This time it was 100% on purpose, and we won the game with it. GG's to them. Alright, next matchup, Shadow Quag up against an Annihilape. That is a massive Annihilape. That thing is honestly about as tall as the opposing trainer there. That's kind of creepy. I'm going to try our best, though, to use our Quagsire to neutralize this, so our Primeape does not have to deal with it as much. This is obviously a Rage Fist. They didn't even build up to a close combat, and the way I like to play this out, no shield that Rage Fist. Go for 2 Aqua Tails, chip it down into a range where we can fast with them down or potentially land a Rage Fist on them later on, and just take shield advantage here. I can swap into our Moltres, and they probably won't get to another move, at least not to a close combat before I can farm them down. If that is the case, we're going to be in a good spot. They end up swapping out with a bit of energy on that Primeape, or the Annihilape rather. A lot of apes going around right now, but they have a Rage Fist, I believe, loaded there. And honestly, I'm kind of happy to see Azumarill come in here. I can land a Brave Bird, which is actually the highest damaging move any Pokemon on my team here can throw against this Azumarill, which is fantastic, because normally they don't like to shield against a Galarian Moltres, especially when they're down shields, so that is a lot of good damage to get off against them. I see an opportunity here to potentially snipe down with a Rage Fist, but I'm not sure it would knock them out, and I honestly think that having extra energy here could be very helpful. Azumarill isn't doing that much fast move pressure, so this is a prime opportunity, once again, to overfarm with our Primeape. Has as much energy as we can here for the backline. We are already boosted 1 stage after throwing this move. We have almost 2 back-to-back moves to throw, and if that ape comes in, I need to make sure to throw the Rage Fist. If it's anything else, I'm going to overfarm here. It is a Dunsparce in the back. That is fantastic to see. We can one-shot this with a close combat. I'm going to throw the next one immediately. If they try to make a catch here on their ape, it doesn't even matter. We can get to yet another close combat. They don't catch, so we just knock this Pokemon out. We know that that Annihilape in the backline has almost nowhere to go at this point, but we are at -4 defense. I have to swap out to clear a debuff so I can reach that next Rage Fist here. They're not going to reach 2 charge moves before we reach this attack, and now we can knock out this Annihilape and win the game here with our Primeape once again putting in so much work, literally getting a sweep there, taking out Azumarill, Annihilape, and that Dunsparce. GG's to our opponent. Alright, I guess we're back to a Wigglytuff lead. Not a very fun lead to see, but we've seen that we can kind of play it out with our Quagsire. It can be annoying if they want a double shield, so we'll see if our opponent does that this game. This Aqua Tail will do a sizable chunk, put them below half health at this point, and now since we have landed that, I need to draw shields from this thing. They go for, I think that's going to be a Swift here. They threw pretty early here, and it is a Swift, so no debuff comes through once again, which is exactly what I want to see. If they ended up debuffing us there, this Aqua Tail wouldn't come anywhere near as close to knocking them out as it would otherwise. So I'm very happy to see no debuff. We get to another Aqua Tail, so we probably get shield advantage this game, but this could be awkward depending on the final Pokemon, or I guess the backline we haven't even seen the second Pokemon, let alone the third. We're gonna just have to let our Quagsire go, right? We get Charmed down. I'm going to come in with our Moltres. I feel like Moltres is less useful right now. Is it going to be a mistake coming in Moltres? Who's to say? No Shield the Icy Wind. I know I survived this. And then I'm going to try to get an energy lead with our Primeape. I know, once again, Primeape is probably going to be a rain condition, but oh, it's another Mud Slapper in the back. Who would have thought? Maybe I should have used our Primeape as a way to absorb energy against that Wigglytuff, but we'll have to see if it's going to be a mistake in the backline. Maybe we can kind of brute force our way through this matchup. If we can, just go for double Rage Fist, come out of this with enough energy and enough health that we can get to another close combat against something. There's still a good chance we can win this one. We end up karate chopping down this Gastrodon. I think I can karate chop down that Wigglytuff, but no, the backline is going to be a Talonflame, actually. You know, it would have been so great to have our Moltres alive. I probably should have invested in that instead of this Primeape, and unfortunately, we don't get to that Ancient Power. We end up getting knocked out. Yeah, I guess a Moltres sweep could have easily happened there, but Primeape not quite able to do it that time. All right, another interesting lead this time. It is going to be a Drifblim. We have Stone Edge that, if it does land, does a catastrophic amount of damage to a Drifblim. So I'm going to bait the Aqua Tail here. Let's see if they fall for it. They do. They end up shielding the move that wouldn't have done anywhere near as much damage. And I'm almost certain that Drifblim is not going to go for a Shadow Ball here. They're going to try to debuff our attack stat, and that is exactly what they do. I can reach a Stone Edge if they let us, but they end up swapping out to a Licky. This is looking pretty good for us right now. I can land a close combat against them, get the knockout. I throw on alignment because I figured they'd try to throw on CMP there, or try to snipe us down before getting to a before I got to a move rather. But they do end up just letting their Licky go down, which is crazy. They didn't get a single charge move off against that Pokemon on our side. So now we're going to no-shield this once Drifblim comes back in. This is a perfect opportunity to get a farm down with our Moltres. Sucker Punch is doing so much damage, but also I realize maybe shield advantage is more important. This is probably going to be a double rollout team with the way they're playing this out. So I want my shields so I can get the Sucker Punch damage against that Dunsparce when it comes in. That is going to be a team that I was kind of expecting the second I saw the first rollout user. If you ever see like a Licky safe swap, it's a pretty good guess that there's going to be a Dunsparce in the backline. So shielding this up, getting the Sucker Punch damage, putting them into Stone Edge range, and then also landing the Brave Bird here will potentially win us this game. Brave Bird, if it goes unshielded, will knock them out, and if it goes shielded, Quagsire has so much energy on it, same with Moltres. Yeah, they realize at that point their only winning condition is calling an Ancient Power bait, and unfortunately for them, we do not go for it. Another Drifblim in the lead this time. We're going to see if we can go for another bait with Aqua Tail. I did try to throw a Stone Edge earlier against someone else. I don't know if this is the matchup. We are going to go, yeah, this time is actually the Stone Edge, so this is going to either land and do a lot of damage or be a mistake and get shielded. I don't always like to go for the same play, right? I do my battles on stream, so if I do an Aqua Tail bait every single time and someone watched me do it against someone else, then they queue up. It's like they might know that I'm going to do that, so I ended up trying to go for it, try to just straight up Stone Edge. It did not work this time. I swapped my Primeape because honestly, Primeape in this matchup is not that bad. We spam out these Rage Fists pretty quickly, and look at how much damage that first one did. That was a non-shadow, non-boosted Rage Fist. It did almost 70% of their health, which is honestly kind of insane. In comes a Gastrodan here. I know Primeape can take this out. We have a Rage Fist and we have a Close Combat loaded. Throw the Close Combat first, and now Rage Fist, if it ends up going unshielded, will win us this matchup, which means Moltres can line up into that Drifblim, and we still have Quagsire later on. Not a lot of Quagsire, we have a little bit of it. Oh man, okay, once again, Primeape would have been so much nicer here, I guess, in this matchup, but we let it go down a little bit too early. I don't know if we have what it takes to win this game, but Moltres has a lot of damage with Sucker Punch and with Ancient Power. There's a good chance if we make a catch that we could still make something happen right now, so we'll see if we can try to make a catch here. They go for the first Icy Wind, which obviously I am going to have to shield. If I can catch this second one on our Quagsire, there is still a good chance we can win this game. We're going to catch, wait a little bit, but our opponent waits even longer. They see that our Quagsire comes in, so fantastic play by them. I have to throw this move. If I give them the farm down, they get a move against our Moltres. If I don't give them that farm down and I throw that energy, then I think the Dewgong might farm us down before I reach a move. Yeah, just barely not able to reach that Stone Edge, but very good patience by them. GG's to our opponent. Our next matchup, Shadow Marowak against our Shadow Quagsire. Love this lead. These Aqua Tails basically one-shot them, so they are probably going to have to shield. And another thing that I like about this is this whole team is not really that weak to Mud Slap, right? I can dance around this a bit. I know they're going to throw one Mud Slap and then a Bone Club. That's just good timing. That's when they're going to throw it, and that's exactly what happens. So we catch on our Moltres. They waste a lot of energy against our Flying-type Pokemon. They're going to actually end up going for another Mud Slap. They bank a Bone Club, so good to remember that they have that Bone Club in the back, and now in comes another Dewgong. This time, though, we're up energy, we're up shields, so this is a much better matchup than that first time. I'm going to go for the Brave Bird. Ancient Power might be super effective, but Brave Bird is just such a more efficient move. We end up almost knocking them out here. I could shield if I wanted Switch Advantage, but that is not what I'm going for. I want energy on my Quagsire, energy on my Primeape, and Shield Advantage is going to be so hard for our opponent to overcome right now. What is going to come in to meet us? It's actually going to be that Marowak, which is not going to be able to really overcome us if we have enough of the energy lead here to start boosting up with our Rage Fists. We're going to throw a Rage Fist in just a second. If they want to shield this up, then I have a second one ready to go. If they no-shield this, I can Karate Chop them all the way down, and I'll have a boosted Primeape against the backline. They shield that, which is crazy to me, and they catch on an Abomasnow. That's not really a catch they probably wanted to make here. They are going to be in a world of hurt, because I can outpace them to yet another move, knock out this Abomasnow, and now I have that Aqua Tail almost loaded on our Quagsire. All I have to do is swap out to it, do one Mud Shot, and then throw the Aqua Tail, and they are well within range where that will knock them out. GG's to them. Honestly, Primeape just popping off once again here this game. It is honestly such a crazy Pokemon if you know how to set it up, but you obviously need Shield Advantage. You need to know how to manage its energy as well and know when to throw those close combats. All right, next matchup, Shadow Quagsire up against an Azumarill. This is a very neutral matchup, and the best thing about it is our backline hates to see this Pokemon. So if I can take this neutral matchup, make them so they just kind of let their Azumarill go, we're going to be in a very good spot. Interestingly, though, they actually end up shielding that first Stone Edge, which is not normally what I see in this matchup. I guess they're kind of scared of Quagsire in the backline, which could be annoying if you let it go down early, but we need to get some damage off against this thing, so we're going to go for the Stone Edge, and then at this point, I'm going to have a bit of a choice to make, right? Do I want to come in with our Moltres or our Primeape? I think Primeape is probably the better play. Come in with this, start ramping up with our moves. Once again, we have shield advantage, we have a little bit of energy advantage, so now we can use this shield here. What the heck? They come in Dewgong against our Primeape? What is this? I guess they must be very weak to our Primeape in the backline if they're doing this play. I'm going to go straight for it, go for this close combat. They end up shielding it, which is kind of also a tell that their backline is incredibly weak to Primeape. I'm going to shield this up, overfarm as much as I can, so I have energy for that Azumarill, and also to stall out the switched clock so I can potentially clear my debuff. I have a back-to-back close combat here. This one is going to land against the Dewgong. They don't have any more shields left. I'm going to clear the debuff coming in. I was thinking with Quagsire at first, but then I was thinking, Azumarill, it might be in range where an Ancient Power could knock them out. I'm just going to come in with my Azumarill in the backline. I guess I can see why they're scared of our Primeape. In comes a Shadow Alolan Sandslash running Powder Snow, which is going to do a lot of fast food pressure, but I think that this Brave Bird is going to put them incredibly low. Yeah, that's at that point in range where I would sucker punch them down in the next one. That is fantastic. Good stuff to our Moltres, putting a lot of work against the Ice and Steel type Pokemon. We have so much energy with our Primeape. We can go for a single Rage Fist here, boost our attack, do one more Karate Chop and another Rage Fist, and we should be able to take this game. Primeape just unwinding this opponent's team. Nothing they could do here. Demolish by this monkey, this fighting monkey. Honestly, I kind of love this Pokemon now. They didn't say they were going to nerf it. Well, they said they were, and now they revoked that. Maybe they should be nerfing this Pokemon. This Pokemon's crazy. Okay, good lead here. The Dunsparce, obviously we would much rather once again see this with our Primeape, but our Quagsire is resisting rollouts, and I think we're going to do a funny play here. I like going for the Stone Edge, and then, watch this. I'm going to catch a Drill Run on our Moltres. You might think that is a stupid play. This Pokemon has a lot of rock-type damage. Why would you ever bring it in here? My thought process is they are staying in a pretty bad lead matchup, right? They have the Quagsire into the Dunsparce. I think Quagsire is going to be more helpful in the backline, and at this point, I've tripped this into a range where I could Sucker Punch this down, and I think we're going to be in a pretty good spot. And look at that. We did need to bait out a Toxapex, so keeping our Quagsire around and getting a Brave Bird against this Toxapex is going to be fantastic news for us right now. This does so much damage to them. Now our Primeape does not have to deal with the Toxapex in the backline. We've whittled down that Dunsparce quite a bit, and our Quagsire can overfarm a lot of energy here. I think we're going to be in a good spot unless they have a lot of fast food pressure in the backline. In comes a Brine. I don't want to take another one of those, because honestly, it does start to add up over time. We CMP Aqua Tail and Brine here, but luckily, because I do have a bit of a higher attack on our Shadow Quagsire than this Toxapex, Toxapex being a very bulky Pokemon, we do win that CMP. What is going to come in here at this point? Going to be a Shadow Cantonian Marowak. This is fantastic because these Aqua Tails, as we have shown throughout the entire video, will basically one-shot them. If they end up no-shielding, we Karate Chop everything down this game. If they end up shielding it, then we are going to be able to go for a close combat with our Monkey, and once again, just closing out the endgame here with a shield advantage on Primeape. They end up throwing on alignment here, which is very helpful because now I know I can outpace them to a close combat, knock them out here if they don't end up catching. I don't see a catch, I see a Mud Slap instead, so we throw in the middle of the animation. Close combat will easily knock out this Marowak at this point, and we can Karate Chop down this Dunsparce, or potentially if they let us. Well, let's go for the close combat here. One-shot this thing when it's already almost dead. This is probably overkill, killing a full family of Dunsparce, but at this point, that is what Primeape is doing. GG's to our opponent. Honestly, a very fun sweep that game, and as you can see here, another very positive set with this team. I've been loving this team. I only had one negative set. That was a 2-3 today, climbing up quite a bit into the 3300s with our Primeape. This Pokemon is so crazy. They said in the blog post initially when they announced the new season, they were going to nerf this Pokemon, and then for some reason they removed that. So Rage Fist is not getting nerfed next season. As far as I can tell, this thing is going to be just as strong in a couple of days, so keep an eye out. This Pokemon is crazy. Alright, well, thank you so much for watching today's video. I stream my battles basically every day at twitch.tv/ItsAXN, so if you want to see my gameplay live, please make sure to check me out there. Also, I'm going to upload a lot more videos to the channel, especially with the new season starting up, so make sure to subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Thanks again for watching, take care, and I'll see you in the next one.